Right now, millions of people over 50 are walking around with dangerously high blood pressure, and they feel perfectly fine. That's the silent part that no one warns you about. And that silence is exactly what makes it so serious. Most people believe that if something were seriously wrong with their blood pressure, they would definitely feel it. They're waiting for a dramatic sign, a pounding chest, a dizzy spell so bad they fall over, or something obvious enough to send them running to the doctor. But here's what medical science actually shows us. The majority of people with high blood pressure have zero dramatic symptoms. None. And yet, their arteries, their heart, their kidneys, they're quietly working under enormous pressure every single day. And the really surprising part? There are 6 subtle signs that are showing up in your daily life. Signs you've probably written off as just getting older. And something as simple, as affordable, and as delicious as a banana eaten daily could genuinely be part of your protection plan. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might completely change the way you look at your morning routine. Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever stood up from the couch a little too fast and felt that rush in your head, that brief, dizzy swirl, and just thought, oh, that's just me getting older? Or maybe you've woken up in the morning with a dull, heavy feeling right at the back of your head, almost like you slept in a strange position, and you grabbed a coffee and moved on with your day? Maybe you've noticed your sleep has gotten a little rougher, not dramatic insomnia, just restless, not quite as deep as it used to be. And you've blamed it on stress, or the news, or just life. Or perhaps you've had moments where your vision seemed just a tiny bit off. Not blurry exactly, just not quite sharp. And you figured you needed new glasses. You are not alone. These little things happen to so many people over 50, every single day. And almost all of us dismiss them. Because they're small. Because they come and go. Because we're busy, and we're tough, and we don't want to make a fuss. But what if those small things were your body's gentle way of tapping you on the shoulder? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Livia Carter, a preventive health physician with over 10 years of experience helping people live longer, stronger, and more vibrant lives, especially during and after their 50s. I want you to feel completely comfortable right now. This is not a scary video. There will be no alarm bells, no panic, and no overwhelming medical terminology. I promise you that. What this video is going to be is honest, clear, and genuinely useful. Because I believe you deserve real information. The kind your doctor might not have had time to sit down and explain during a 7-minute appointment. If you're over 50, if you've ever wondered about your blood pressure, if someone in your family has dealt with it, or if you're simply someone who wants to take care of yourself smartly and naturally, this video was made for you. So take a comfortable breath, settle in, and let's walk through this together. Here's exactly what we're going to cover today, in plain, simple language. First, we're going to talk about what high blood pressure actually feels like in real, everyday life. Not the textbook version, but the lived version. The one that looks like a Tuesday morning, not a medical emergency. We're going to go through 6 specific signs that your body may already be sending you. Signs that are easy to miss, easy to dismiss, and incredibly important to recognize. Then, we're going to talk about bananas. Yes, bananas. And I'm going to explain, in very clear, non-technical terms, why this humble, inexpensive fruit has real science behind it when it comes to blood pressure support. We'll look at what's actually inside a banana that makes it helpful, and how something so simple can fit into a daily routine that genuinely supports your heart health. No extreme diets, no confusing supplement stacks, no fear, just good, grounded, practical information. By the time this video ends, you're going to walk away with 3 very valuable things. You're going to know the 6 subtle signs of high blood pressure that most people over 50 overlook, so you can stop guessing and start paying attention with confidence. You're going to understand why a daily banana is more than just a snack, and how one small habit could support your blood pressure in a way that's backed by real nutritional science. And most importantly, you're going to feel empowered, not scared, not overwhelmed, empowered. Because knowledge is the most powerful health tool you have. And you're going to leave here with more of it. Let's begin. Let's start by understanding what high blood pressure actually means, without the medical jargon. Think of your arteries like garden hoses. When you turn on the water, the pressure inside the hose is what pushes the water through. Now, if someone squeezes that hose, or if the hose itself has gotten narrower over time, the pressure inside goes up. The water still flows, but everything is working harder than it should be. That's essentially what happens with high blood pressure, which doctors call hypertension. Your heart is pumping blood through your arteries, but the pressure inside those vessels is higher than it should be. And the tricky thing is, the hose doesn't announce that it's under pressure. It just quietly works harder. And over time, that extra strain adds up. Now, here's where people over 50 are in a particularly important stage of life. As we age, our blood vessels naturally become a little less flexible. They don't bounce back as easily as they did at 30. That's completely normal. It's not a flaw, it's just biology. But it does mean that the older we get, the more important it becomes to be aware of what's happening inside our bodies. The good news is, your body is always communicating with you. It's always sending signals. The challenge is knowing how to read them, especially when those signals feel so ordinary that we wave them right past us. So let's look at sign number 1. Sign 1. That morning head heaviness. You wake up, and before you even get out of bed, there's a dull pressure in the back of your head. Not a sharp, pounding headache, more like a heavy fog that sits there for the first hour or so of your morning. Some people describe it as feeling like their head weighs a little more than usual. This is one of the most commonly reported early signs of elevated blood pressure, and one of the most commonly dismissed. People blame dehydration. They blame sleeping in the wrong position. They blame getting older. And while all of those things can cause morning head discomfort, persistent heaviness, specifically at the back of the head that shows up most mornings, is worth taking note of. It happens because when blood pressure is elevated, especially in the morning hours when it naturally tends to be a little higher, the blood vessels in your head feel that pressure. Not dramatically, not painfully, just heavily. If this sounds familiar, I want you to hold that thought. Don't panic, just notice it. Noticing is the first step. Here's what I love about this particular sign. It's actually one of the easiest to track. Starting today, you could keep a tiny notepad on your nightstand, just a small one, and when you wake up, take 10 seconds to notice how your head feels. Write it down. 3 words, 5 words, doesn't matter. Head heavy, back of skull, or felt fine today. That kind of simple, consistent awareness gives you and your doctor incredibly useful information. It transforms a vague worry into a real, trackable pattern. And that pattern is something you can act on, something you can improve. You are already ahead of the curve simply by knowing what to look for. Let's move into sign number 2 and sign number 3, because these two often show up together and people rarely connect them. Sign 2. Vision that comes and goes. This is subtle, and I want to be careful to describe it accurately. We're not talking about a sudden loss of vision or anything dramatic like that. We're talking about moments, brief moments, where things seem just a little less clear. Maybe you're reading a menu and the words seem slightly fuzzy. Maybe you're watching television and there's a moment where the screen seems just a touch blurry, and then it clears up. Maybe bright lights seem a little more intense than they used to. Now, vision changes absolutely happen as we age, and glasses are a very normal part of life after 50. But there's a specific quality to vision changes that come from elevated blood pressure. They tend to be momentary. They can happen even when your glasses prescription is up to date, and they often show up alongside other signs rather than in isolation. The blood vessels in your eyes are extraordinarily fine and delicate. They're actually some of the smallest blood vessels in your entire body, and they feel pressure changes quite readily. This is one of the reasons why eye exams can sometimes give doctors early clues about blood pressure and cardiovascular health. Your eyes are literally windows into your vascular system. Sign 3. Feeling flushed without a reason. Have you ever noticed a warmth in your face or neck? A flushed, slightly hot feeling that comes out of nowhere? You're not exercising. You're not embarrassed. You're just sitting in your living room or standing in the grocery store, and suddenly your face feels warm. Many people over 50 attribute this to hormonal changes, and sometimes that's absolutely the reason. But frequent, unpredictable flushing, especially when it happens alongside other signs on this list, can be a sign that your blood pressure has temporarily spiked. When the pressure in your blood vessels rises, blood flow to your skin's surface increases, and that warmth you feel is quite literally your skin responding to that change. Again, this alone is not a cause for alarm. But patterns matter. Patterns tell a story. Now, I want to pause here for just a moment, because I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Dr. Carter, I have some of these. Maybe most of these. What do I do right now? And I hear you. That feeling is completely valid. But here's what I want you to remember. The fact that you're watching this video, the fact that you're thinking about your health and paying attention to your body, that already puts you in a different, better position than someone who never thinks about it at all. We have 3 more signs to go through together, and then we're going to get to the banana. And I promise you, by the time we get there, you're going to understand not just what to eat, but why it actually works. And that understanding is going to make the habit stick in a way that a simple recommendation never would. So stay with me. Sign 4. Sleep that isn't restful. This one catches people off guard because it feels so disconnected from blood pressure. Sleep trouble seems like a stress problem, or an age problem, or a too much coffee problem. But here's what the research actually shows us. There is a very well-established relationship between elevated blood pressure and disrupted sleep, and it works in both directions. Poor sleep can raise blood pressure, and high blood pressure can disrupt sleep. It can become a quiet cycle. When you sleep, your blood pressure is supposed to dip. It's supposed to naturally lower during the night as your body rests and recovers. This is such a consistent pattern that doctors actually have a term for people whose blood pressure drops appropriately at night. They call them dippers. People whose blood pressure doesn't drop the way it should at night are called non-dippers, and this pattern is associated with higher cardiovascular risk. Now, you might not have access to overnight blood pressure monitoring right at home, but what you can notice is the quality of your sleep. Are you waking up in the middle of the night for no clear reason? Not because you need the bathroom, not because of a noise, just waking up. Are you feeling tired in the morning, even after what should have been a full night? Do you toss and turn more than you used to? These are worth paying attention to, and worth mentioning to your doctor. Sign 5. Ringing or whooshing in your ears. This is another one that people dismiss, often for years. A ringing, buzzing, or sometimes whooshing sound in the ears, especially when the room is quiet, is medically known as tinnitus. And tinnitus has many causes. Some are completely unrelated to blood pressure. But there is a specific type of tinnitus that can be linked to elevated blood pressure, and it often sounds rhythmic, almost like you can hear a pulse. A whooshing that beats in time with your heartbeat. This happens because high blood pressure affects the tiny, delicate blood vessels in and around your inner ear. When those vessels are under extra pressure, sometimes you can literally hear the blood moving through them. It's called pulsatile tinnitus, and it's one of the more telling signs on this list. If you've noticed this, especially if it's in one ear more than the other, especially if it comes and goes, especially if it seems to be connected to moments of stress or exertion, please do mention it to your doctor. It's the kind of detail that's easy to forget in a short appointment, but it's genuinely valuable information. Now I have a question for you, and I genuinely want you to think about this for a moment. Out of the 5 signs we've talked about so far, the morning head heaviness, the moments of vision change, the unexplained facial flushing, the disrupted sleep, and the ear sounds, how many have you personally noticed in the past few months? Maybe 1. Maybe 2. Maybe, if you're being really honest with yourself, more than that. Leave me a comment below. Just say, I noticed, or tell me how many. You don't have to share details. This is just between you and this community. Because I genuinely believe that when we speak these things out loud, even just in writing, it becomes real. And real things we can actually address. Let's look at the 6th and final sign, and then we're getting to the banana, I promise. Sign 6. Fatigue that feels different. We all know tiredness, that normal, pleasant exhaustion at the end of a day well lived, That's healthy. That's life. But there's a fatigue that people with elevated blood pressure often describe, and it has a different quality. It's not earned tiredness. It's a heaviness that's there even in the morning. It's feeling like simple tasks take just a little more out of you than they used to. It's that moment where climbing the stairs makes you feel disproportionately out of breath, or where a walk that used to feel easy feels just a little harder. When your heart is consistently working against higher pressure, it uses more energy. It's working overtime every single hour of every single day. And that sustained extra effort, invisible as it is, can translate into a fatigue that feels different from ordinary tiredness. Heavier, less refreshing, more persistent. Now, fatigue after 50 has many causes, and not all of them are blood pressure related. But fatigue combined with 2 or more of the other signs we've discussed is a combination worth taking seriously. So, to recap our 6 signs, and I want you to think of these not as a checklist of fear, but as a vocabulary your body is using to talk to you. Morning head heaviness, brief vision changes, unexplained facial flushing, disrupted and unrefreshing sleep, ear ringing or whooshing, and that particular kind of heavy fatigue. If your body has been speaking, you now know how to listen. And here is the most empowering thing I can tell you right now. Awareness changes outcomes. There are decades of medical evidence showing that people who are aware of their blood pressure risks and who make even modest lifestyle changes, in diet, in movement, in sleep habits, have significantly better cardiovascular health than people who are unaware and do nothing. You are aware. You're watching this video. You are already doing something. And now, let's talk about the banana. I want to explain why a banana is genuinely worthy of being part of a blood pressure support plan. And to do that, I need to tell you about potassium. Potassium is a mineral. Your body needs it to function in countless ways. It helps your muscles contract, it helps your nerves fire, and most relevantly for us today, it plays a direct and well-documented role in how your blood vessels behave. Here's the relationship in simple terms. Sodium, the salt in your food, tends to cause your body to hold on to water. More water in your system means more volume in your blood vessels. More volume means more pressure. Potassium works as a natural counterbalance to sodium. It helps your kidneys pull excess sodium out of your bloodstream and release it through urine. Less sodium means your blood vessels aren't holding as much volume. Less volume means the pressure can ease. It's almost like a balancing act happening inside your body constantly, and potassium is one side of that balance. Now, one medium banana, an ordinary, everyday banana that costs less than $1, contains approximately 420 milligrams of potassium. The general daily recommendation for potassium is around 2,600 to 3,400 milligrams, depending on the individual. So one banana gives you a genuinely meaningful portion of that daily target. This is not a miracle cure. I want to be clear about that. A banana is not going to replace blood pressure medication if your doctor has prescribed it, and it is not going to single-handedly resolve severely elevated blood pressure. But as part of a daily routine, especially when combined with other potassium-rich foods like sweet potatoes, leafy greens, and avocados, the consistent daily intake of potassium can make a real, measurable difference in blood pressure numbers over time. Multiple large-scale studies have shown that people with higher potassium intake tend to have lower blood pressure readings than people with lower intake, even when accounting for other factors. This is not a fringe idea. This is well-established nutritional science. And here's what I love most about the banana as a recommendation. It's accessible, it's inexpensive, it's available at virtually every grocery store in America. It requires no cooking, no preparation, no special knowledge. You can eat it with your morning coffee. You can slice it over oatmeal. You can have it as an afternoon snack. You can blend it into a smoothie. One banana a day is the kind of habit that's easy to start, easy to sustain, and gentle enough to be genuinely enjoyable. And enjoyable habits are the ones that actually change health outcomes, not the ones that feel like punishment, the ones that feel good. Now, beyond potassium, a banana brings a few more things to the table that are worth knowing about. Magnesium. A medium banana also contains a modest amount of magnesium, another mineral with a supporting role in blood pressure regulation. Magnesium helps blood vessels relax. Think of it as a natural muscle relaxer for your arterial walls. Relaxed blood vessel walls mean the heart doesn't have to push as hard to move blood through them. Fiber. Bananas, particularly ones that are still just slightly firm rather than fully ripe, contain a type of fiber that supports digestive health and has been associated with heart health benefits. A healthy gut microbiome, the community of good bacteria in your digestive system, increasingly appears to play a role in overall cardiovascular health. Fiber feeds those good bacteria. Vitamin B6. This is a vitamin involved in a remarkable number of body processes, including the production of serotonin, the neurotransmitter that influences mood and stress response. And since stress is one of the most reliable short-term raisers of blood pressure, anything that supports your body's stress management system is indirectly supporting your blood pressure as well. So when you eat a banana, you're not just getting potassium, you're getting a combination of nutrients that work together in support of your cardiovascular system. That's why whole foods are so much more powerful than isolated supplements. They come with a full team, not just one player. Now, I want to address something that I hear often from patients, and that you may be thinking right now. Let me now talk about how to actually build this into your daily life in a way that lasts. Because it's one thing to know something is good for you, and it's another thing to actually do it every day. The secret to building any new health habit after 50 is attaching it to something you already do consistently. Behavioral scientists call this habit stacking. You take a new behavior and link it to an existing routine so that the old habit automatically triggers the new one. For most people, morning is the most reliable anchor. If you already drink a glass of water when you wake up, eat your banana right after. If you have coffee every morning, slice a banana alongside it. If you take morning medications, put a banana on the counter next to your pill organizer as a visual cue. The beauty of this approach is that you're not relying on willpower. You're designing your environment so that the right choice is also the easy choice. Another practical tip. Buy your bananas at slightly different stages of ripeness. A few that are yellow and firm. A few that are more yellow and spotted. They'll ripen at different rates throughout the week, and you'll always have one at the perfect stage for eating. This sounds like a tiny detail, but tiny details are what separate people who try something once from people who do it every day. And if you genuinely dislike eating a banana plain, remember that you can blend it into a morning smoothie with some spinach, a little almond butter, and some milk or plant-based milk. You won't taste the banana as strongly, but all the nutritional benefit is still there. One banana, every day. That is a manageable, achievable, scientifically supported habit. I've worked with patients over many years, and the ones who experience the most positive change are rarely the ones who made dramatic overnight transformations. They're the ones who picked one small thing. One thing they could do consistently. And they did it. Every day. They showed up for themselves in a small way, every morning. And those small daily acts of self-care compound over months and years in ways that genuinely show up in blood work, in blood pressure readings, in energy levels, in how they feel. You have more power over your health than you might currently believe, and that power doesn't require a gym membership or an expensive protocol or perfect discipline. It requires small, consistent choices made with knowledge and intention. That's what today is. One more step in that direction. Breathe out through your mouth for 6 or 7 counts. Repeat that 5 times. That's it. That's real medicine. Tell me which one. You don't have to share anything private. Just say number 3, or the sleep one, or more than one. Because when you put it into words, something shifts. You move from passive watching to active noticing. And active noticing is where health change actually begins. Also, if this video gave you something valuable today, if it helped you understand your body a little better or gave you one new habit to try, please share it with someone you care about. A spouse, a sibling, a friend. Because so many people over 50 are walking around with these signs and no vocabulary to understand them. You might be the reason someone checks in with their doctor or picks up a banana tomorrow. That matters enormously. Now, as we close, I want to say something important, and I want to say it clearly and warmly. Everything I've shared with you today is for educational purposes only. This video is not a substitute for medical care, and it is not intended to diagnose or treat any condition. Every person's body is unique, every person's health history is individual, and the guidance of your own doctor, who knows you personally, is always the most important voice in your health decisions. If you've recognized several of the signs we discussed today, please do make an appointment to check your blood pressure and have a conversation with your physician. Not because there's something to fear, but because you deserve to know where you stand. Information is empowering. Knowledge is protective. And you are worth the appointment. For now, I want to leave you with this. Your body is always working for you. Even when it's struggling, it's working for you, sending signals, making adjustments, doing everything it can to keep you going. Your job is simply to listen, to learn, and to give it what it needs. Today, you listened. Today, you learned 6 things your body may have been trying to tell you. And today, you have one simple, beautiful, affordable action you can take starting tomorrow morning. 1 banana, as part of a day that you're living more intentionally than you were yesterday. That's not a small thing. That's everything. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. You deserve it.